What's up, everybody? It's your boy C. Sims, and this is That Comic Talk. Now, the Hollywood Inquirer actually dropped some news for us yesterday. I wanted to give it at least a day so we could see if anything actually develops or anything comes from this, but it looks like that everything has been confirmed. Henry Cavill has stepped away from the role of Superman. He actually joins a long list of men who have become Superman, a very short list but a great list nonetheless. Henry Cavill brought a different type of realism to the character, a character that has been made to inspire hope, dreams, aspirations. And instead we got a character that was a little bit more realistic. How would the world deal with an alien with so much superpower that you can't even control him? So instead of looking at all the things that could have been done or all the things that could have been changed, in my opinion, Zack Snyder shouldn't have even touched this property. The direction that Henry Cavill had to go with is the direction that Zack Snyder gave him. Zack Snyder should not be giving direction to anybody. He's great at filming action scenes, but in directing, yeah, that's a no-go. But nonetheless, we're actually going to look back at all the great things that Henry Cavill actually did as the character of Superman. Now, we see our first glimpse of Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. He looked the part, he talked the part, he looked like Superman. In fact, he looked like a great Superman. He was physically built, he had the jawline, he had the hair. That's all the checkboxes that one needs to make Superman. But it came to his acting. And when it comes to his acting, in my personal opinion, I don't think he had the chops to actually give us a really good Superman. He was very wooden at times, he was very blank at times, but he still looked the part and he had the role. The movie showed us a different take on Superman altogether. A Superman dealing with the reality of a human race that will automatically reject him because he's different. But then Superman did something in Man of Steel that really threw people off. He killed Zod. He snapped his neck. And for some people, that was a no-no when it comes to the Superman mythos. However, a lot of people embraced it. It's time for something new. Well, instead of going up, up, and away, we went right down with BVS. BVS showed us a character that had no development. He didn't change from the perspective that he had in Man of Steel all the way to BVS. In fact, he got worse. He didn't have any type of view of what he was and who he was when it comes to this world. Instead, he just kept doing what he had to do, and when he had pushback, he just retreated back into his home and was sad all the time. At no point did I see that man smile in a movie where Superman is supposed to be a symbol of hope. And I think you need to smile to be a symbol of hope. But we didn't see that. BVS was just another hard blow to the character. And then, to top things off, at the end of BVS, he died. Yeah, Superman died. They ruined that particular storyline that could have been saved for a couple of movies away, and instead, we got this. So sad. And then we got Justice League. Justice League, he was barely in the movie. He was in the movie at the end of the movie. Really, technically, more than half of the movie he was in. And even then, he looked weird. They CGI'd his mouth. He looked weird. He talked weird. They made it seem like that he was always this happy-go-lucky type of character when he really wasn't. He was brooding, mad, and menacing all the time, just like Batman. And all of a sudden, we were supposed to believe that he's a brand new character? No. DC did a horrible job in this particular Superman. The idea and the concept was perfect and spotless. However, the execution of how they did this was horrible. They did a bad job giving us a character that we can aspire to be and look up to. You know what a good example of a character that we can look up to? Captain America. Captain America showed the difference in the changes from him from the first time we saw him all the way to the last time we saw him. And we saw the transitions that he actually did to kind of fit the narrative of the world. But with this particular character, Superman, we didn't see that change. And I can't fault Henry Cavill for that. It's the direction of the people on top of him that gave him the bad direction to begin with. And now we have to say goodbye to Henry Cavill. He joins a list of two other individuals who actually played Superman on the big screen. Brendan Routh, and of course, in my opinion, the greatest one of all, Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves embodied everything that Superman is, at least back in the 50s and 60s. Brendan Routh, he kind of tried to do the same thing, but his execution was all off. Henry Cavill was supposed to be a new take on the character. And unfortunately, that's not what we got. But who knows? We might get something different. It looks like that they're focusing on a Supergirl comic book and a Supergirl movie franchise. So that's the reason why they're not looking at a Superman franchise anymore. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but the bottom line is this. There's no more Henry Cavill. And I almost predicted it in my last video. Matter of fact, I did predict it in my last video. So, it is what it is. DC, I think it's time to throw away the entire universe altogether. Scrap everything, throw away everything, and start from scratch. But we do have Aquaman and we have Shazam coming out next year. So maybe after Shazam, maybe we can rethink this and shuffle things around. But then again, they're shaking a lot of stuff off at the top. But again, 2 years ago, they did the exact same thing. So, who to believe? Anyway, this is your boy Sams. This is that Comic Talk. And before I sign off, let's have a moment of silence for Henry Cavill playing the role of Superman. That's enough. Sam's out.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can know when we drop new stuff.